Okay, hello everybody. I am back with Woolery. She specializes in clinical herbalism and naturopathic medicine, and today we are going to be talking about Tylenol. So, Caitlin, can you please tell us why we should not use Tylenol with our children?
Okay, so in natural healing, we have a fundamental, comprehensive guideline and concept that if you want to be healthy, you enthrone the vital force. If you want to be sick, you repress the vital force. What is the vital force? It's the grand design of the body intelligence and nature working together. So people are using Tylenol mostly for the purpose of repressing fever. We'll talk about it in that context today. And the fever is the vital force of the body. It is designed to happen when we get sick for the purpose of heating the organism up so that the viral pathogen can be driven from the deeper parts of the organs out to the surface of the body via opening the pores and diaphoresis and pushing that virus out. So if you support the function of the fever and enthrone and honor the vital force, which is the king, then you will make sure that your body can not only detox the pathogen, but can detox also anything else that's in the body. Being sick is actually a very beautiful gift because we go down, we rest, we don't eat, and the body can get into a really deep state of detox that we otherwise can't access. So we want to support that. Tylenol represses that function. And what I see happening with a lot of children, and you don't see this right away, is that when Tylenol is used to repress the fever, the virus cannot escape the body. It drives it deeper, and you'll see it on the tongues of people when they have latent or dormant viruses that have been repressed by a Tylenol or antibiotics. It stores in the joints and in the organs, and you can't, and it causes autoimmune and other types of reactions later on. So we support the fever. We don't repress the fever.
Okay, and for moms who are afraid of seizures, because there's this big fear out there of, Western medicine doctors talking about the fever causing a seizure. And I think that that's one of their biggest fears, or just the fear behind a fever. I don't know where they even came from. But can you talk about that?
Well, it's not that common, and the fever would have to be high. So if you think, always look in terms of what our ancestors did in evolution. If everyone that got a fever had a seizure throughout history, we wouldn't exist.
Yeah.
So, I mean, every case is different. And of course, there's going to be some kids who have, maybe there's certain circumstances around that. But for the most part, if your fever's at 99 through like 104, and that's a normally functioning child, the fear mongering tactic around that area is happening for a different reason other than a seizure, if you get my drift there.
Okay, and then so can you talk to us about how we hear this a lot, and I know that Tylenol, the acetaminophen, and it depletes the glutathione in the liver, and how damaging that can be, and why.
Yes. So Tylenol and glutathione have an interesting relationship in the body. Tylenol will repress the production of glutathione. So glutathione is our main antioxidant. It's what's used to combat free radicals. So the free radicals don't damage cell membranes and then penetrate and to damage the DNA. It also helps our body flush out like anything that shouldn't be in the system, pathogens, mold, metals, etc. So Tylenol represses the body's ability to do that, which is not enthroning the vital force. And also reverse is that if someone is overdosing on Tylenol, glutathione, or better than glutathione is NAC, will stop the potential liver failure that's being caused by the Tylenol.
Okay.
So inverse relationship.
Okay. And then what happens when, if we go to the pediatrician and we are told that we need to do these things and be on this schedule, and that if there was a fever after doing this thing, going on vacation and we go home and we give our child Tylenol and what that actually does to the body, and also plays a part in even more further a regression in development for a child.
Yeah. So the vacations bypass already, just by nature of how they're injected, bypass the body's built-in detox systems. So usually a viral pathogen will enter through the nose or the mouth, and we have therefore our lungs, we have these little hairs, we have immune cells in this area of the body that will start to combat that virus. Then we have first and second rate metabolism through the liver, phase 1 and 2 detox through the liver. We have the kidneys, we have the bowels, we have all these ways to push something out before it technically enters the bloodstream. In herbal medicine, we don't even consider something inside the body until it's in the blood. So we have all these ways to keep something out of the bloodstream. That is the grand design of nature. When you inject it, you are bypassing all of that, and it's going straight into the blood, which is where everything is happening. So when you take Tylenol, that the last defense that the body has is the immune response in the blood and the lymph to that vacation. And when you repress that too, it's done deal. It's a done deal. And that's where you have to have the long-term sight to see, okay, it might not be necessarily bad in that moment or in the first 5 days, but what's happening long-term with that 3-5 years down the road, when that virus can't escape from the body and has been repressed in because all the defense mechanisms have been bypassed. It's storing in the joints, it's storing in the organs, and therefore we have the birthing of all these really lazy labels of autoimmune that are popping up in people.
Okay, what are some of those lazy labels of autoimmune?
Oh, anytime they say autoimmune, it's a lazy label because they're describing the body attacking itself, but they're not saying why. So they label it autoimmune and they slap someone on prednisone and antibiotics, and that's a fast downward spiral. So I call it lazy.
Okay, so what would cause the body to harm itself or attack itself?
Toxins, pathogens and toxins. That's the core of autoimmune. There's a whole subculture of natural healers who don't even believe that it exists. The body is too smart to attack itself.
Right, it's trying, yeah, no doubt. So it's really trying to attack things that it cannot pull out on its own.
Mm-hmm. And it's
trying, metals and toxins.
And it's not being supported by, so it's trying, but it's failing because the person who's operating the body isn't supporting it with the right food and the right herbs. And we call it the cup overflowing, where maybe you can handle 100 points worth of pathogens and toxins through air, food, water, lotions, etc. Once you get past that 100-point marker, body can't keep up with you anymore. And that's when you start to see the manifestation of what they call autoimmune.
Okay. Okay, perfect. And so what are some options for mothers to give their child if their child is coming down with a fever?
If it's an earlier stage of a fever, the hero would be yarrow. Yarrow opens, and peppermint and lemon balm assist. Those three are like a dynamite trio, and they will enthrone the vital force and open up the pores and move the blood and move everything in the body so that the lymph can circulate and the blood can circulate, and those pathogens can get pushed out through the open pores. Astragalus does the opposite. A lot of people take astragalus when you're sick. It closes the pores. So don't do that. We want to do yarrow predominantly. If the fever has gotten so bad that it's entered into the bones and you have that like bone crushing ache and you're hot, cold, and the fever is really progressed, bone set is the herb for that. That will pull the fever out of the level of the bones.
Okay, so yeah, we want to help the body push out the virus or the pathogen, and we're taught to not do that. We're taught to repress it, to push the symptoms down. You don't want to feel any symptoms. You want them all to go away, when essentially it's pushing it back into the body, and then we have even more issues, and it awakens later in life in some other way it manifests.
Correct. And the thing is that if you can have the grand picture vision where you can handle and you gracefully maneuver through being sick instead of thinking of it as like, oh my God, I'm sick. I'm going to take all this cough syrup and Tylenol and I can't experience any pain. If you can actually navigate that and gracefully accept that being sick is a beautiful gift, and you enthrone the vital force while you're ill, you are going to come out of that sickness genetically empowered, because viruses are interacting, 8 pounds of them a day are interacting with our DNA and have been since the beginning of time. It's the concept of evolution. So if you can navigate that, accept whatever changes are happening between you and that pathogen for the better, and you can detox as you're ill because you're not taking in more toxins, you're going to come out of that stronger, more powerful, and with a healthier immune system and a new perspective spiritually, even too, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, so how would you suggest they give those herbs to their child?
Tincture form, I would do tincture form. You'll have to probably Google the weight of the child versus the weight of the parent. Usually it's the weight of the heaviest parent divided in half.
Okay.
The dosing, it's not necessarily generic, but if you're uncomfortable with tinctures, don't, tinctures need to be an alcohol base. So there's a lot of really low grade tinctures on the market. The glycerins don't work. They don't extract the active constituents in the plant. So it needs to be an alcohol based tincture. And the only people that I buy from, if I make and sell tinctures, but if I need to buy, I'll buy from Herb Farm or Gaia. I don't think either of those companies sell bone set, but people can reach out to me for that or tincture their own from
Well,
leaves.
do you have those tinctures readily available for children, or can you make them?
I have bone set readily available. I have only 2 ounces in the apothecary left of yarrow, but I'm about to go on a huge yarrow harvest, so that'll be available.
Fantastic. I think that that would be really, really great for moms to have that in their arsenal for when their child, gets a fever.
Crucial. Just have it on hand, and then you don't have to be scared into whatever the fear mongering is of the.
Okay, and I've also heard of white willow bark for pain. What is your?
Yeah, white willow bark is good for pain. It's people think it was the salicylic acid was originally derived from that. It's technically was meadowsweet, but willow bark has a lot of naturally occurring salicylic acid.
Okay, all right, perfect. Okay, and
that would be the substitute for the Tylenol. So good job.
Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you so much for all of this information. And below, I will have all of your information, how to contact you and your herb shop and everything like that. And if anybody sees this through my platform, they can use the code Jamie5858 in the referral box. So, all right, thank you so much for your time, Caitlin, as always.
Thank you, Jamie.
Okay, bye.